Hey guys, what's up? In this presentation, we will talk about the new ELLLO books. So, new books for a new era. Hello, my name's Todd Bukins. I'm the creator of ELLLO, and I made a textbook for a variety of reasons. And ELLLO soon will have textbooks for 7 different levels. And I would just like to explain the book and what we would like to do with it. So, let's go ahead and begin. So, the first book we have is the ELLLO Beginners book. This is level 3, so this is like high beginner, low intermediate, and basically there are 7 things that might interest you about the book. First, 1, it's free. 2, you have a QR link to the audio. So if you can see down here on each page, the students, if they have a QR code on their phone, a QR reader on their phone, excuse me, they can just show that to the link and boom, they could access the audio on their phone. So it's what they call frictionless access, which means there's no login ID, there's no password, they don't have to pay anything, they don't need a CD player, so they can just access the audio easily. And these are paper lessons, and if teachers use them in class, they can use them and do listening tasks, grammar tasks, vocabulary tasks, writing tasks, and number 7, it's multi-purpose use. It has a multi-purpose use, which that means is it's really flexible. Like you can use it as an in-class material with your students. You can give it as homework. Students can do it as self-study. If you teach students online, you can maybe send it to the students to do for like work during the week for remote learning. So I try to make the worksheets very, very flexible. So why did I make a book? Why did I want to make this book? Well, because there are problems with traditional textbooks, and I'm just going to list 8. Okay, so there's a lot of problems with books, and I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not saying all textbooks are bad. I use textbooks. We need textbooks. And ELLLO, the new textbooks that we're creating, or these worksheets, I guess you could say, they could be either a substitute, which means you can replace a traditional textbook, or they can be a complement. And mainly they're supposed to be a complement. That means you can use them with a traditional textbook that you might have in your ESL class, and it will do things the textbook won't do. Without a doubt. There's things that the ELLLO book does, a traditional book cannot do, won't do, and you'll see why. Okay, now the first thing is, there's 8 reasons. So here we go. Number 1, books are expensive, right? So they have unnatural speech, voice actors, situational language. They're not very readable, and I'll explain why when we get to that. They're limited in size, and again, I'll explain more later. They're inaccessible. The audio, especially, is inaccessible. The text often is inaccessible, and I'll explain why. And they're wasteful, and we'll see the 3 main ways that books are very, very wasteful. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. The first one, traditional textbooks can be expensive. They can be very expensive. So your average textbook costs $20 or more. That's a lot. So think about this. $20, that means if you have a school and you have 20 students per class, that means it's $400. $400 to have these lessons. And often they're not very good. Let's just be honest. Like, I sometimes get appalled at how bad the textbooks are. Really bad. And so that's kind of a shame. You got to pay all that money for something that's not that good. So to combat that, ELLLO is free. Our book is free. It doesn't cost you anything. All right, the next one is unnatural speech. This is my biggie. For example, hello, how are you? Fine, thank you. And you? I am fine, thanks. So this is a problem. This is a serious problem. It's because almost all the scripts, all the text in a textbook is scripted. That means they're reading a script. They're not speaking naturally. When you speak naturally, like I am, you're not reading. As you can see, even as I'm talking, I've already made a couple mistakes. That's natural. That is language. That is real language. Anything that's written down is fake language. And I know that's really controversial, but it's true. It is true. Because when you write something down, you stop, you go back, you redo it. You never write something, almost never write something and publish it without going back and checking or changing something. So if you have unnatural speech, to have natural speech, you need unscripted language. That means people just talking. And so in ELLLO, we do that. It's just unscripted. So what we do is first we record people, then we transcribe it. And what a textbook does, they do the opposite. First they write it, then they record it. So the process is completely different. Completely different. So that's why ELLLO, you kind of need it. The students need it. So that's that. Okay, next, voice actors. On a similar note, the people that are doing it are not, it's not actually their words, right? They were hired just to read a script. And often voice actors kind of fit within a certain age group, within a certain income group. They're usually only from certain nationalities, and that's a problem. So books often have a lack of variety in the language that is spoken. So there's really a lack of different accents. There's a lack of different age groups, for example, children or adult speakers. And most importantly, there's a lack of international speakers. So almost always the voice actors are native speakers, and they might try to fake an accent. I hate that. You get the textbook and somebody's faking a French accent. Just get a French person. And so, yeah. So ELLLO, we have, well, and on the website, there's speakers from over 100 countries. 100 countries. 100! And it's free. So the textbook, we don't have 100. We might have a few. But as you can see here, like here we have die, and so it's good. All right, another one. Most textbooks are situational. Okay, so that means it's either a grammar focus or a situation focus. For example, it's speaking in the past tense, or it's ordering coffee, or ordering a hotel room, or something like that. And so it's kind of a short, we say contrived, fake conversation. Again, we keep coming to this. Whereas ELLLO, what we do, it's topic focus. So we just have a conversation. And here's an example. Like so here in the book, we have one activity where Shirley from Australia and Josh from the United States, they talk about their favorite restaurant. Now think about this. What's more likely for a student? To talk about their favorite restaurant or to actually order food in a restaurant. Now, if it's ESL and they're living in America or in England or in Australia, then maybe, yeah, they need to know how to order food in a restaurant. But even then, it's pretty limited language. But talking about their favorite restaurant or recommending a restaurant or saying what a restaurant has, that actually is very common. People like to talk about that. Oh, hey, have you gone to this place? It's really good, blah, 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 blah. So we do a lot of stuff where it's a conversation that would come up. So rather than doing situational language in a restaurant, we do conversational English about a restaurant. Also, another thing is we often have free conversations, which means the grammar will kind of wind and go in different areas. It's not stuck on just one point. So often, because if the conversation's about the past tense or the future tense, or it's about one thing like, placing an order in a shop, it's very limited, and so the conversation can't kind of branch out. So we can do that with ELLLO. It kind of branches out. The next one is textbooks are not reader friendly. Now, this is what I mean by that. Imagine you open up a newspaper or a magazine or a novel. What do you see on the page? The actual text, the content, the meat. You actually see the text, what everything's about. Now, think about a textbook. They often don't put the most important language on the page. Where is it? It's in the transcript section way in the back. They hide it. I've never understood this. So this is the most important feature. The most important feature, and they put the language in the back of the book. Like, it's the most important thing. The language they put on the page is really stupid language, like, explaining a grammar point or giving instructions, right? Listen to the audio and mark down 5 things that the person says. Or just silly stuff, like it's not real language. I think that's a disservice to students. And so what we do with this book is we have what's called language-rich input. This is very important, language-rich input. That means the language that they hear is like the good stuff, the real stuff. Like phrases and ways that people word things and say things. It's not hidden way in the back of the book for them to have to try to go and find. And again, also we have expanded text. So often the text will cover, as you can see here, the majority of the text on the page is actually the real text. Now this has a grammar activity and they have to fill it in, but on both pages of the book, as you can see, it's the real thing. So that's another thing that we want. All right, next one is, similarly, textbooks are limited in size. So usually if you buy a textbook, you're only going to get 12 to 20 lessons, maybe. And to be fair, often a textbook might be, one lesson chapter might be up to 8 pages, so it could be a lot. But still, that's kind of limited, right? So what we've done is we're going to do books through level 1, which is coming out soon, to level 7, and there will be at least 30 lessons eventually. So we'll have at least over 200 lessons by the time we finish. And of course, they'll be free. And if you go online, of course, you can go online, and there's over 2,000 that are free. So again, you pay for only 12, or you get 2,000 for free. Your choice. Then the next one is, on a similar note, textbooks can be inaccessible, and especially we're talking about the audio. So this is always a problem. You ever notice, like, first of all, the audio in the textbook is usually in a CD in the back of the book. Well, that's a problem because that's like living in caveman times, because students these days don't have CD players. I mean, often you can't even find the CD player. So then to play the CD, maybe you have to have a computer, but even computers now, many computers don't have a CD drive. Like really thin computers or netbooks, they don't have a CD drive. So how are you going to play the CD? You can't. So then the other option that they might do is they'll have, they might have some online system. But then again, the students will have to have a password. They'll have to have an ID, create a user account. They'll have to navigate to the audio, find the audio. It's a big headache. So what we've done is thought, okay, what's the easiest way you can do this? The easiest way, QR codes. Frictionless access. As a teacher, this is what I love. This is the #1 thing, I think. Okay, #2. Natural speech is #1. This is the #2 thing that makes ELLLO, our textbook, really cool. And that's frictionless access. All the student has to do is download a QR code. You can get it for free in the iTunes store, or you can get it in the Google Play. Doesn't matter. And all you got to do is touch it, point it at the paper, whong, and there it is. Wham! Boom! Done. Finished. It's there. And if they tap it, that's it. So 2 taps. You know, Steve Jobs used to always say nothing on a phone is worth anything. No, every app, if it's really worthy of anything, or any program, you should be able to do in 2 taps. 1 tap to access, 1 tap to get it to go, to do what you want it to do. And that's what we've done, 2 taps, tap, tap. ELLLO is actually designed the same way. All right, so then the next one is textbooks can be wasteful. So this is the biggie. They are so wasteful. So they're wasteful in 3 ways. The first one is they're very wasteful in time. Like you have to spend so much time trying to figure them out, right? Like you get a book, first figure out what you're supposed to do in the lesson, trying to find where everything is, where the answer sheet is, where the transcripts are, where the audio is placed on the CD. It's a lot of time. It's just a lot of time. And so we want to save the time. We want to streamline it. So all the lessons are intuitive, which means if you just give them to the students, they know what to do. A teacher will look at it and should instinctively know, like, basically how to do the lesson. And there's a lesson flow, and it's very easy. And again, if you want to access the content online, if you have a smartphone, you can just point your phone at it and boom, you're right there. Okay, the next one is, it's free, so again, it saves money, right? It saves money. That's it. But this is the big one. This is the one, it saves resources. Because think about any textbook that you use. How many pages do you actually use? Unless it's a really good book, you probably don't use that much. I'm guessing, just guessing, not scientific, just guessing. You use maybe 20% of a book? 20. Now, think about all the paper that you're not using. Think about all the paper in the teacher's manual you don't use. Think about the packaging, the cardboard you need to ship the books around. Think about the books that students don't even use. Think about all the transportation to move the books from place to place to place. Now, I'm not saying books are bad. I'm actually, to the publishers, what I'm saying is please make better books. Please make better books. Your books are terrible. And if you're going to waste time, money, and resources, just get it right. Just get it right. But anyway, back to that. I digress. So, you can print it out. You can do it online. Like, you don't even have to do it the paper version if you want to. So you can always limit it. You can reduce, right? Reduce, reuse, recycle. All of these three things you can do with our paper versions. And that's it. Thanks for listening. This was my trial run. You can contact me at todd@ello.org. I would love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the book. This is the first book that's done. It's ready. Ding. So I hope you like it. Thanks a lot. And we will be talking to you soon.